Testing all the things. Testing all of the things. Gonna get some echo as I test myself. Oh, I do not like that. Let's change that. Oh, I do not like that. And turn off this fucking static and my terrible language. And turn off this fucking static and my terrible language. Just. Okay. Speed you. Let's do that. For those joining us in this preamble, it is because I am recording today. Recording from my laptop today. I have a webcam, but I forgot one of my housemates was using it because he's doing a live production recording of The Tempest, as he's an actor, and so it's one of those really cool things that he is doing, and so I am using one computer in front of another computer, being a goofball, which is not helpful to anyone, because I am trying to work in front of one behind another. And that's just not cutting it right now. So we're going to just like kind of go through a couple of weird angles for the time being. Because life is a disaster and existence is painful. But if you're on our channel, if you're hanging out, please ask some questions while I'm hanging in here talking about stuff, getting things adjusted. Because I did not prepare for anything like I should have, because I am real bad today. We are streaming 7.3. Save that. Return to studio. Go to video. Well, you lovely people, thank you so much for joining us now or watching this video later. It means a lot to us because we love our fans. And without you, well, what can we do, right? So, it's one of those great things. I just want this channel. Give to me. Give to me, YouTube. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. Doing both things at once is a disaster. Let me tell you that. As I'm working over one camera into another. But I'm grateful for all of you. I am grateful to just get the time this Friday to kind of hang out for a little bit and chat with you and see what's going on and see how everyone is. Hopefully everyone is doing okay. It is not easy right now. Just posting now that I got everything fixed. Because things be goofy sometimes. Things be goofy. Let's see here. Yeah, if we don't get a real big turnout, like, it's just at least an opportunity for me to sit down and record thoughts for the week and talk to you all about things that are going on and what might be happening. Eric is taking a little bit of a vacation this weekend. I suspect that a number of people in America are also doing that because it's a holiday weekend for a lot of us. So, cool deal. But we're here, we're hanging out. Ask questions if you are hanging out with us, and if you're not, you know, feel free to hop into our Discord or social media later and ask us the questions you might have about this at another point. But anyway, we're about 5 minutes in. I had about 10 minutes of preamble as I tried to get things set up because I wasn't paying attention to my own schedule. So here we are. I'm Jackson Wood. I am the marketing and events person for Japanime Games. I'll also be doing sales stuff here in the future, so if you have a retail side of things, you're going to hear from me in a couple of weeks. Just reach out, see how you're doing, see what we can do to make things a little bit easier for you. Beyond that, if you want to be a volunteer, if you like doing games-related stuff, if you like doing demos at shows or doing online demos, or just getting to know people, now's the time to sign up for Team Japanime. Let me know. Especially because we are going to be doing play testing for an upcoming game. So if you like to play games, if you like to have feedback on games, and you want to be part to the test process for developing games, now's your opportunity. I know when I was at Privateer Press, it was one of my favorite parts of working with the development team, was getting to do playtest stuff. So, if you want to get like a little taste of the gaming industry, if you want to get behind closed doors, reach out to us through the Team Japanime channels, and we'll get you set up with an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement, because you can't talk about the things we're working on, but you can at least try it out with your friends, get a little playtest group together, and have fun with it, and get a taste of what a game might look like before it comes out. As I accidentally almost die on my own saliva. Whoa. Terrible. No good for anyone right there. If I don't see your question, I apologize. It's because I have camera set up in front of me, and then I have chat channel behind it on my primary desktop. So, that's one of the big things, playtesting. Love that. We just announced that we had to delay Tokyo Sidekick, which is not our favorite thing in the world to do, but due to scheduling conflicts, we needed to push things back, especially because we wanted to deliver to you the best experience we can. Which I know sounds like a lot of marketing talk, but really, like, we would not have had everything lined up the way we wanted to ahead of time. And so we're just taking a little bit of extra time to make sure that everything is the way it should be. But keep an eye out from reviewers. There's going to be reviews coming out of Tokyo Sidekick, as well as first looks and box openings and all that fun stuff that you can hope to see with games soon. Oh, what else is important in those capacities right now? Out here in Portland, Oregon, I am lucky. I got some gaming industry friends who are on the retail side of things that are going to be coming into town in a couple of weeks. And so some social distancing hangout is going to be fun. Especially just getting to see people that I don't get to see at shows right now. I know a number of you may also like to go to shows, especially local shows, and it's hard, but it's also to make sure that everybody is staying safe, and we're taking care of one another, and that when all of this is done, when we actually make it through this event, we can all be back at the table together in time. But with that said, wear your masks, wash your hands. I'm not wearing a mask right now because I'm inside my own home. Yeah, but when you go out, like, wear a mask. I am not necessarily the best about not going out and doing things to an extent, but I always want to ask my work best when I can, and I think you should too, because I actually want to be able to meet you at some point in the future and make sure that like we can have a pleasant interaction around games, and that would work if myself or you get sick and worse. So let's not do that. But being a little bit preachy, let's move beyond that. So we talked about playtesting stuff coming up for an upcoming game that we can't talk about just yet, which is going to be very exciting. It's going to be a new board game. And that's about all I could really say there, but I figured that if you see it here, you might get a little bit more excited about it. Beyond that, I'm going to be doing this weekly short little AMA-style hangout every Friday at this time, so from 4 o'clock my time, PDT, or 7 o'clock EST. If you're GMT or otherwise, I can't really help you, I'm sorry. We might change the time slot depending on if there is a more popular time slot, which again, I'm always open to that if you give me a heads up for it. But I'm going to do one of these where you can ask me questions about what we're doing, what's going on, who is doing what games we might have coming up, statuses beyond just the updates that Heather does on Kickstarters, all that stuff. It's my way of saying, hey, I want to engage with you for at least 30 minutes a week. It's a way to ask me questions without any pretense. Just be like, hey, what about this? What about that? And if you haven't heard me talk before, or you haven't met me before, my response is, I will give you an answer. You may not like that answer, and that answer very well might just be like, hey, I can't talk about that right now, and here's why. But I'll always at least give you the reason why I can't talk about it. And if I forget, if I start answering your question and I tangent off as I do, and I don't fully answer your question, or you feel like the question went unanswered, then tell me. However, if I feel like I've answered your question, and then you keep pushing me, then I'm going to have to tell you, hey, just because you don't like the answer doesn't mean that that's not the answer. Like, that's just how it is. And sometimes we have to accept those facts. But again, if you're watching, if you're hanging out, like, thank you for joining me. Ask questions. I'm going to just kind of talk about a variety of subjects, and then later I'll go back through when I have time. I didn't even do it for the last video because I haven't. But when I have time, I'll go back and timestamp stuff to the best of my ability to be like, hey, Jax is talking about Tokyo's Sidekick here. Jax is talking about Tanto Kure here. He's talking about Kamigami here. Look at this cool new project that's coming up that he's talking about here. So I'm going to spend time doing that stuff, again, as best I can, because I'm not. I am but one person, and I have a lot of stuff to do in a given day, let alone a given week. But let's talk about some other cool stuff. Like, I'm grateful for everybody that I get to talk to, especially in our Discord. If you want really up-to-date, like, immediate responses, that is a great way to get a hold of me. But with that, it was really cool to talk with somebody the other day about just company size, because we were talking about getting games on digital platforms, and what does that look like, and why other companies aren't doing it, what's going on there. And I was grateful to be like, hey, you know, like, we're doing it as best we can, but we have a bit of a delay, because again, I'm doing that stuff. And that's because, thankfully, most of you recognize we are a very small company. There are not a lot of us. You have probably interacted with myself, or Heather, or Eric, or even Maisie. But there's not a huge number of us working on things. And so I was grateful when I worked at another company, we got to do a survey where it's like, hey, how big do you actually think we are? And it was really interesting to see what the responses were, because a lot of people were like, oh yeah, there's like at least 100 to 150 employees there. And realistically, there were like 25 of us, maybe 30. And so to see the almost like 3 to 4 times size difference that people perceived from our company compared to what the actual was really enlightening. And we got to have a conversation with the community about like, hey, you know, we just don't necessarily have the ability to do things the way you want because we don't have the resources to do it. And so that's an interesting part of a conversation, which is not the case here. It just came up organically for otherwise, but I want to share it. I thought it was a unique experience to talk about perception in regards to the gaming industry. So, like, tying it back, like, we're really lucky that we are the size that we are, because I could have these very personal conversations with folk to be like, hey, you know, it's a bit unrealistic for you to talk like that, where it's really cool how appreciative you are of the level of work we put into things. So, all of those things make me really happy because I love seeing the positive response from the community. I love seeing you all engaged in a way that makes you happy. So, thank you for that, and thank you for being understanding of the limitations that can exist based on just resource allocation. But we are trying to do things for you. We want to make things more interesting and keep you engaged with cool content. I know that social media doesn't always do that. From my own perspective, a number of you like to talk with us on Facebook or Twitter or otherwise, but not everybody does, and that's okay. But we would love to hear from you. We actually pose these questions because we want to know. So, it's important to us. But as a boutique style publisher, we know what we're about, and we love that you're all here for us. So, there's that stuff. Again, every Friday, if I don't forget that a housemate is using my webcam to make things more smooth, I'll be here for at least 30 minutes. If you're here hanging out with me asking questions, I will answer them, and I will be, again, more involved. And if things are busy, if there's a lot of questions, if there's a lot of interaction in the chat, then we'll stay along longer, because I want to give you my time in a way that is beneficial to everyone. So, please, if you are watching, again, I see a couple of you are watching, ask questions, let me know what you're thinking, let me know about your weekend, tell me what games you're playing, say hello. Even if there's just one of you here, let's have an intimate conversation. Let's talk about the questions you have for us, and let's see what's going on. Whether it's one person in here or 1,000 people in here, I want to give you my time. So, that's kind of the big thing there, as I ramble through topics. Let's see what else is kind of going on. It's a little bit less. We've been focusing on a lot of internal stuff this week, getting things rolling. That's part of the whole sales announcement, as I'll be handling more direct sales with retail. So, reaching out to people, talking, setting up accounts. If you have a local game store that is reopening and they don't carry our products, have them reach out to us or let us know so we can reach out to them and see if we can get something set up, because we want to be able to support stores. We did a huge retailer bundle where it was almost $700 worth of retail stuff for $100 to retailers, which, we're excited about. I've loved seeing the response from people about that. Everybody is super excited. They got their copies. It is a major bummer that a number of stores have to open when they might not necessarily be the safest to do so. Again, a lot of these things are going to be hey, let me tell you my credentials. Let me talk about my thoughts on that. I used to be a retail owner. That's actually how I got started in the industry. And that was many years ago now. I was the luckiest man I know in regards to having an amazing boss who I then ended up buying the business from. So shout out to Carl. Carl, you are an amazing human being. I have much love for you. I hope that you are doing well out there. But there were times it wasn't easy, and I don't know how well I would have done if I was put in the environment that we're in now. I probably just would have closed my doors forever, as a number of stores probably already have, which is no good. But if ever you are in the Colorado area, they have a number of amazing game stores. There's a number of amazing people from there that end up in the gaming industry somehow. So who knows if it's Colorado or if it's just the caliber of game stores out there. But we will shout out to them. Shout out to my new local game store, Red Castle Games, here in Portland, Oregon. They're one of my favorites, but Guardian Games, the Portland Game Store, Mox is opening up a new location here, and they have an amazing general manager and an amazing staff in general behind them from everybody I've met. Can't speak to people I haven't met, or speak of people I haven't met, because that's just not fair. Yeah, I love seeing game stores thrive, and I love seeing people actually enjoy games. So, there's that. We're going to be hanging out for about 10 more minutes. And I'm just going to kind of ramble about stuff that I think is important, or some questions I have asked. But first big one is, if there was one IP out there, anime-wise, that you would love to see a game made for, what would that IP be? Or if it already exists, what is that game? For me, a big one that I would love to see, just because I am a big nerd for goofy things, A really great friend of mine, Jake, told me about a show where it's like, alright, so it's like a cyberpunk, it's like cyberpunk future, and a dude has a gun for a head. I was like, that sounds dumb. I don't want to watch that. So then I watched it. It's a show called No Guns Life, and I was enthralled. Like, it's exceptional in writing. The story is really well done. Like, of course, they lean into the tropes, but they do things very interestingly. There's very little MacGuffin-y, I pull out the right answer at the right time kind of stuff. Like, people lose, like, bad things happen. So I really appreciate that. My Hero Academia being another one that I'm pretty sure everybody wants some kind of other game for, just because that IP is straight fire. Fire Force, as I speak about fire, I don't know why I'm so enthralled by pyrokinetic firefighters, but I think I like that show a lot. I like the different takes. I'm like, here's how fire can be used in this world. I think they get really creative, even if some of the things are a stretch. But I've enjoyed it so far, and I'm really excited for Season 2. Love to see Fullmetal Alchemist again, just things from before. I am grateful that we got to work on Cowboy Bebop. I just got to play it again the other night, and I demoed that game so many times at PAX East, which shows were still happening. And that game is a blast. Like, even though I demoed it easily 150 times over the course of that weekend, every single game was fun, every single demo session was fun. I got to show people, like, a massive amount of excitement. Getting to show it off at GAMA as well, a week later, was great. And so, again, I'm hopeful that, by May of next year, as a conservative estimate, May, we'll get shows back, even at a limited capacity. We'll get to share stuff with you then. What else? Some great IPs. Even just talking about, like, things tied to that as a jump around topics. Going back to the Toonami days with Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star and things like that. Gorillas. If just the characters of Gorillas were in some kind of a board game, I would eat that up. I'm just a huge fan of art and the fact that they focus on the artist, so I think that would be really neat. But that's just me personally. What else do we have on my docket? We're just going to jump around a bunch of topics. No one's asking me any questions, so it's just 30 minutes of me talking, which is not exciting for anybody. I'm going to be putting together a number of other small stuff in the future. I have to finish finalizing another Gleam giveaway that we did for a second set of uncut sheets for Tanto Kore. There were a number of errors with it that required deeper investigation than previous ones. So, I don't know what some of you did, but some of you broke it. It's not cool. I don't know why you do that. Yeah. It's been a week of doing a lot of internal stuff. It's like, I made a bunch of graphic design work. I did a bunch of goofy stuff like that. None of that matters to any of you. At all. Like, there's no reason that you would care that I was like, I made a playmat out of art for reasons. I care about it, but I don't. If I were you, I wouldn't care about that at all. That's just goofy. Yeah, it's kind of a sleepy week for Japanime. I mean, doing this every week is really going to just hinge on you all actually coming and hanging out with us and spending time with us for 30 minutes or more. So, see how that goes. To ask questions, if there was a subject matter, so like Hikaru no Go, or the tennis, or cooking, or whatever the subject matter might be, if there was an anime based on a mundane activity that you enjoy, what would it be? We're in that weird niche where they have made that really good anime about board games. The name is escaping me right now because I am a trash human today. I prepared nothing for this. Like, there's going to be at least like 3 or 4 people. They're going to ask me questions. It's going to be awesome. And I guess most people are probably gone, at least from our audience, because it's Europe and it's sleepy time, or holiday weekend. So maybe I was a foolish man for deciding to do it this week. So we might just call it soon here in a moment. But it's kind of the big stuff again. If you watch this later, reach out to us for demo/playtest stuff. I think that's it for now. We're going to call it good. But much love, take care out there, and we'll see you next week. And hopefully we have more people and we can start making this a thing and really build a sort of like, hey, every week let's do a recap. So until then, be safe out there, wear a mask, wash your hands, take care of one another. Peace. When I hit buttons right.